Morning. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to see you all here today. I'm so excited to see it. It's so many friendly faces that I know and so many new faces. So thank you so much for getting up early and coming to join me today. So today we're taking a little bit of a different approach. I mean, number one, you're getting a lot of time with me today, which wasn't originally the plan. As a matter of fact, I don't know where Kim is, but Kim was originally supposed to participate in this session. And instead you're getting me for 2 hours. So the awesome thing for you is you're getting like the full enchilada today. Instead of just like the abridged version that a lot of times I think we end up with in Tech Week. Not only are you getting me, but after you have this opportunity to come up with all these great ideas, we are actually going to have Sharon Gillenwater joining us for the last hour, who is going to, I don't want you to feel like money's going to hold you back from any ideas and innovation that you're going to have today, because we're going to actually talk about alternative forms of how you might be able to raise money to be able to fund your idea. So today is all about expanding our minds and being able to sort of do what we maybe thought was impossible. But I don't want to start today without sort of giving thanks to GRCC. I mean, is this not the most beautiful room for us to be able to expand our minds? So I wanted to give the opportunity for Christy Hake to come up. She is the Dean of the School of STEM here at GRCC. She is doing incredible things, even including the AI certificate program that you can participate in here. And so I'm going to turn things over to Christy to give you a little intro to that.
And I am not going to take a long time because you are all here for a radical workshop that turns AI knowledge into real imaginable profit. Yes? Excellent. How's everybody doing? Okay, wake up. There's coffee over there. You saw all the food. Welcome to day 2 of Tech Week. We're GRCC and the School of STEM are so excited to be participants in Tech Week. This is the first of our 5 events that we have. I'm not going to take you through the rest, but you can go to techweekgr.com to look up a little bit more. Elizabeth, one of my absolute favorite people on the planet. I see familiar faces as well, and one of the reasons we all know each other is because of you, so thank you so much for doing this. You'll also see Sharon Gillenwater later. I met her last night. She is amazing and has some really poignant, interesting topics to talk about, especially for this group. You mentioned the AI certificate. I do have flyers back there for you to check out. This is not designed necessarily for your 18 to 21-year-olds. This is designed for everybody. In fact, I am in the program right now. So I just finished my first class. Yeah, right. And now I'm coding in Python. Lord help me. My problem is that I took it in a 7-week session. So I just will advise not to do that. So we have the AI certificate meant to help folks currently working upskill or retool in their fields. And also this month, we started our AI AAAS degree. That is a collaboration with GVSU. So students will come in, be here for a couple of years, and then move on to GVSU to get that AI bachelor's degree. So without further ado, thank you so much for being here. Elizabeth Godey.
Thank you. All right, so today we're going to go from sort of this artificial intelligence side of things, and we're going to use that to actually make real profit. So I hope everybody's here to actually work. So because I get a little extra time, I'm going to give you a little bit of like something I don't often share. Usually the only people who get to hear my real story are students. But today I'm going to actually give you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. We're going to sort of talk about the business benefits of and like the strategies basically that we're going to apply today. We're going to have a tiny bit of fun because I always think it's like good for us to get our fun juices flowing before we actually get into work. And then we're going to go through actually the implementation part of putting this into profit. We'll do Q&A, and then we'll transition things over into Sharon. I'll give everybody a little break after we go through our 2 hours, get a little break, and then we'll restart with Sharon. All right. Okay, so this is me. I not only do a lot of these types of speaking engagements, I do a lot of corporate training. We pride ourselves on keeping the humans, but we make their lives better. So I'm hoping that today you get to experience sort of that firsthand. But I'm going to take you back just a little bit. Sharon had problems with her remote yesterday too. I don't know what's going on. Okay. You guys have heard about Murphy's Law, right? If you have a tech conference, you will have tech problems. It's just how it goes. All right, so anyone in this room is going to look at this, and you're probably going to be able to find mistakes on here. But I can't necessarily find the mistakes. So when I was a young person, I just want to note that that's my dad. So he does. That's why he's here, I think. So when I was a young person, I took a literature composition class in 7th grade. And I got something like this. And I'm a little bit older than some people in the room, but this was back when we still had to use dictionaries. So just a little bit down memory lane there. So for me, I would have to look up every single word on this sheet because I didn't know if it was spelled right or wrong. I had to best guess on if I could figure out how grammar worked or didn't work. So when we think about, I don't know what is going on today. So I took 2 really bad things, right? So one was I could look up everything in the dictionary. If I had a spelling test, Dad, close your ears. Sometimes I would just keep my spelling book open to the pages that I needed to spell, and then I would cheat. Sorry, that's 4th grade. And so this is a little bit of like that idea of the fact that I was just very, very limited because this is a time when things were very, very rudimentary. They were very difficult. Like, do you know what it's like to try to look a word up in the dictionary that you don't know how to spell? And you don't know how to spell it. Like, some words are so hard, you can't even look it up in the dictionary because you're so far off, you don't even know how to get started. Like, I don't know if anybody else can relate to that in this room, but gosh, it was very traumatic. Oh, now it's gonna work. So things got really exciting for me later in high school because spell check. Okay, we started to move from typewriters, God, I'm old, typewriters to word processors and then to computers. And all of a sudden, it would tell me when things were wrong. And for the most part, because of being able to use different types of learning models, it would give its best guess into the word that you were trying to come up with. And therefore, I could now turn this into something I could actually use. Major, major breakthrough. So what is AI? Artificial intelligence, I like to describe really, really simply. It is basically a computer doing what a human would do. And I want you to let that set in. That is a computer doing what a human would do. This isn't a computer doing something that a human wouldn't do, at least not yet. We're not there. But this is a computer being able to do incomplete processes that a human would normally do. Okay, so I got the spell check. Now I can actually spell things, right? Now I can actually fix my grammar. But I still had this problem. Now, half of this room is going to be like, oh my God, I see this so much opportunity, a white page, I can do anything. To me, this is like paralysis. Where do I start? How do I actually, how do I even know where to go? And, especially, I don't know, for the ladies in the room, but as I get older, I've also have those squirrels that are running rampant, and how do you actually put things together in a logical form that anybody else could follow? So what AI did for me also is took the bricks off my feet. Okay, it now gives me the opportunity that I can think in whatever format that I want to, and I can make something come out of it. And I hope that today you have the opportunity to also experience that. Okay, so today is all about releasing our creative energies and our opportunities that we have within our businesses. Okay, what? Okay. All right, so AI is going to be our easy button for today. And we're going to start in the easiest way possible. And it's not necessarily going to be with businessy stuff first, because we're going to ease into that. Yeah, it doesn't want
I
to.
just need to.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
You might be able to. Don't worry. If we have tech problems in the beginning, hopefully that means we don't have them at the end. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. All right. Okay, fantastic. All right, so, nope.
Okay, now try.
All right. So before we get started, I always talk about these. I used to say that I used to be more loosey-goosey about this, but these are really like the AI rules. No one should be using artificial intelligence unless they follow these 3 rules. They're mine, but they should be everyone's. The first thing is we have to know what we're trying to do. So what is our goal? Once we know that, then we know what tool we should use. And then from there, we always have to validate. We always have to review, because you know what? We're the experts. We should never use artificial intelligence to try to become an expert in something that we don't know, because we aren't going to be smart enough to know if what it comes back with is true or not. So in the AI world, for those of you who are not overly familiar, because this group, we can go from any level of skill of where you are, even if you have never used it at all. But there is a technical term called a hallucination. And a hallucination is basically when it comes back, I sort of call it like gobbledygook. It's like when it comes back and gives you stuff that's just straight up wrong. I remember I was doing some research. I was putting together a document, and I had asked for some feedback back. And I was like, wow, that stat is really interesting. I think it was something about Coca-Cola. And I was like, wow, that's fascinating. I didn't know that. And you know why it was so fascinating? Because it wasn't true. I couldn't validate that anywhere. It just made it up completely. And so if we don't take the time to actually pause and make sure that the information comes back is accurate, then we run the risk of what's happening on LinkedIn right now, which is just like a bunch of fictitious information that doesn't even seem accurate anymore. So those are my 3 rules. Can everybody agree that we're going to follow those today? Yeah? You guys need to give me a little bit of energy. There's too many of you here for it to be this quiet. All right. Okay, so from there, I think it's like something about that was exciting. Yeah, right. Okay. So just to level set, because we're all about, having a goal and figuring out what we're going to do. So when we think about innovation and we think about what are the types of things that this is going to do for us today, when we think about what artificial intelligence can do, it can help us have a competitive advantage. It can help us be more efficient. It can help us with problem solving. Right? If anybody has been deep within their, business and they've got a problem they've got to solve, sometimes AI can help us get our way out of it because it doesn't see the walls of the box that we create for ourselves. Also, attracting and retaining employees. I don't know about you, but I certainly have been facing the fact that it's hard sometimes to hire for certain positions right now. And so sometimes, being able to sort of, innovate and figure out what's going to really attract those people to you, AI can help us with that. And then the final thing is how we find new revenue streams, which is why I think most everybody is here in the audience today. I'm afraid to touch this clicker in any way. All right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about AI innovation strategies. So the first one is going to be, I just presented actually at a summit last week that was, the red thread for the whole conference was about pioneers. And it was such a great, number one, it's really incredible to sort of listen to who people think are pioneers. I got to hear about people's pioneers in their family and, different pioneers. But when we think about AI right now, and we think about what that can do for us, it can actually help us pioneer our own unknowns. Sometimes there are knowns in the world, but there are unknowns. And so that's sort of the first strategy that we're going to have today. Okay. The second thing is how we actually get research and information. We're going to use artificial intelligence to help us gather and get that information. Oh. Okay. And then at the end, we're actually going to be able to put pen to paper and make this happen. So I know that that part is going to make everybody feel a little bit uncomfortable when we get to it. But I would love a commitment from everybody in this room that whatever we come up with today, we're willing to at least follow it through the path and try to launch it today. Yeah, right? I believe, like, do the thing, right? We're here, we're gonna get all the assets and information that we need. Let's do the thing, right? Okay. All right, so we're gonna start with some fun. Maybe. This remote is not fun for me today. Okay, so the first thing that we're gonna do is fun. And anybody, who was here last year at the Future of AI is Female? Was anybody? Okay, a couple people. All right, so one of my favorite things to do for fun is to actually use an AI tool for something that we maybe don't necessarily think about because it's for like personal reasons. Who has a hard time figuring out what they want to eat for dinner? I've maxed out on my decision making by the time I get to dinner time. I can't figure it out. So I have turned to using, who has ChatGPT? Okay, who doesn't? Let's do this the opposite way. Who doesn't have ChatGPT? That is not true. Okay, all right. All right, so just a handful of people? Okay, great. I will help you get on there individually. Everybody else who has ChatGPT right now, I want you to, now you can do this two different ways. You can actually talk to it if you prefer to talk to it. Or you can actually just put in there, just off the top of your head, what ingredients do you have at home right now? And what I want you to do is give those ingredients to chat, and then I want you to say, please give me some recipes that I can make for dinner. Now you can add another word like easy, simple. You can add a couple of words like that, but I want you to be super, super bare bones about it. Just that simple. I have these things, I want to make this thing. Okay. Now, if you want to, yeah, I can give you the, here, hold on. I've got a, what? Yeah, it's okay. It's something about, I think it's something about the, I don't know, it worked last year, I don't know. Mine should work from like outside this room. So I don't know. Okay, so anyone that doesn't have ChatGPT, there's a QR code online, or sorry, on the screen, and you can, and there's also a link. So if you go there, you'll be able to create an account. share a recipe that they got back. Okay, great.
I'm not vegetarian, but sometimes I like to eat this.
Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. No, it's so good.
Hello. Okay. So I'm not vegetarian, but sometimes I eat meatless. So I have a lot of red lentils in my cupboard. So I asked for a red lentil recipe. So it's a red lentil curry. So coconut, milk, curry, red lentils, diced tomatoes. Yeah, I actually have all of those ingredients in my cupboard right now. So I've made it before, but I have run out of ideas recently on what to make for dinner. And so I will send this to my daughter who's home right now and say, make this for dinner tonight. 'Cause-
All right, does anybody else want to share?
So I went grocery shopping recently, so I have a ton of things, and I tried to put like some of the basics. I mean, you're not going to go through the inventory of your whole house. And it came up with a couple of recipes based on like chicken and some snow peas and parsnips and stuff. So one of them was quick ground beef stir fry, and it was like put it on rice and noodles. If you don't have these, here's how to use your flour and water to make a quick flatbread. The second one was like a creamy chicken vegetable skillet, and it was similar. It just used, chicken butter, and then agreed you can eat it by itself, and it used like half and half to make a creamy sauce. So these were great ideas that I'd be willing to make.
So I don't know if anyone previously, other than people who've been to my event last year, but if you have actually chosen to use AI in your personal life. Yeah, great. For those of you that haven't, I think this is a really good tip because most of us can only make a certain number of decisions a day. All right. Excellent. Hello? 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 Okay. I think there's oh, I can't hear it. Oh, maybe it's that. But
It's all of Tech Week, taking up all of the tech energy, and it is.
okay. All right. Cool. I like it. All right. So, yeah. Okay. So, we're just going to keep. I learned some new phrase that I can't remember now, and they told me you're not supposed to pivot because then you never move. Instead, you're supposed to like do something else that like gets you forward. So we're doing whatever gets us forward because I'm tired of spinning in a circle. I don't know about you. All right. So, did that feel like a little bit of fun though? I mean, that wasn't like hard work. It was like a few things we could talk to it like a normal person. It's not scary, right? I mean, no one felt fearful in putting in their ingredients, did they? All right, great. Okay, so we are now going to sort of start into the innovation piece of things. And the way that we're going to do this is I've created a little workbook with some prompts in it. The only thing I need you to do for me, well, 3 things I need you to do for me. The first thing is I need you to, when you open the document, you are going to save a copy. That will allow you to actually edit that yourself. I don't want you to close the document I gave to you in case somebody comes up with a question or some other things come up. That way I can type into the other, the original document, and then we can sort of work on it together. Does that sound good? Okay, great. Now, this will open in a Google Doc. If you are doing this from a mobile device, it does work better if you use the Google Doc app. Is anybody not a Google user? You're not fluently, but you can. All right. I like it. Huh. Okay. Great. So if everyone can use the URL instead of the QR code, that will work better for you. I swear all these QR codes are new. Who knows? Okay, did everybody get there? So it should look like this. It will either be save a copy or it will be, trying to remember. Sure. The actual document, do you want the link? Yes. You got it? Janet, how are we doing online with questions? Any questions? Okay. All right. So while everyone's sort of getting this pulled up, I will let you know this exact methodology has made someone $100,000 in 6 weeks. Okay. So I know it's possible if you expand your mind and actually go through this. Now, I'm not saying that everyone here is going to be able to do that, but I am telling you that I have had someone go through this workshop and have that type of outcome. All right. Everybody have the worksheet? You have it? Okay. So the best place to sort of start innovation is to go from information that already exists. It is amazing how much your competitors can help you innovate. It's amazing how much your customers can help you innovate. And it's amazing how much when you are just willing to go out and listen to what people are complaining about, it can help you innovate. So there are sort of 3 places that we can get started today. One is we can go on to social media. If we know of a place that either we have a brand, well, actually, let me back up a little bit. Did everyone actually do the exercise of deciding what your goal is for today? Okay, so can I get a raise of hands of who is looking to start an entirely new company? Okay, who is looking to start a new product? Okay, and is everybody else looking to start a new service? Yeah, okay. All right. So if you're looking to start, and like from those 3 different points, the place where we'll start will be a little bit different. If we're looking to start a new product or a service, we're gonna be able to start right within sort of information that we already have on ourselves, or our direct competitor. If we're looking to start something completely new and innovative, we might expand that a little bit differently. Okay, so like a completely new company might be a little bit different. So because the bulk of the people here are starting a new product and a service, we're going to sort of start through the traditional realm. So what I want you to do is on the first page of the workbook, because I think everybody's there now, so I'm just going to pull that up. So on the first page, I want you to find a source that has a lot of information. Okay, so you can do that through social media. You can do that from LinkedIn. You can do that from Facebook. You could, it's not as, I mean, you can still do it on Instagram. It's not quite as easy. If people still do Twitter or X, that can be, you know, especially if you're in the tech space, that can be a good place to get information. If you have a physical product, Amazon can be a great place in reviews. So does everybody feel comfortable that they can identify a base level place to start, except for my people that are looking to start something completely new? Yes.
Just for example, someone in your space and their social media account, that's a source or a individual post?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Thank you very much for asking that. So what I mean is you need some place that people are having a conversation. So it absolutely could be on a post. It could be within a group. It could be on something that you've posted, your company's posted. That's a great place to start. So all I need for you to identify right now is like, what's the link to the thing that you think would be a good place to start? And you can do several of them if you want to. We've got time today. So there's no reason for us to rush this. This is actually a really critical place, is like where we're starting is to get like the base level of information. And I can do an example too. If somebody has one that they want to give me, I can sort of show you. All right, where are my people that want to start something completely new? You. Okay. So what kind of, in what kind of area are you thinking? Great. So do you have people that you follow online that you're like, hey, they're doing it right, like they're doing a good job? I would go out and find a post that they have done that has a lot, you know, like quite a bit of feedback on it. And that's what I would start with as your source. What about you? Yeah. Okay. Hospitality, I would say the big hospitality groups, right? Like Marriott, things like that. I would start sort of there on any post. I hate to say this, but like look for things that they've had issues, problems with, and that would be what I would use as their source. You could do a cross section just so you get both sides. The other was leadership development, or staffing onboarding. So with staff onboarding, do you have anyone that you look to that does onboarding well? Great. So I would go out to Canary and I would take, you know, I would look for something that they've had engagement on. Yeah. Who else is looking to start something new? Okay. All right. Are you starting something new? No. Yes, you're starting something new? Yeah.
So I guess I'm thinking, I'm just thinking now, I'm passionate about cats, for instance. I'm in technology, but I'm passionate about cats. And I'm thinking, is there a way I can make a profit doing something with cats and social media or something? Or
Yeah.
what would
I would go out and look at like the cat people. There are cat people. That sounds hilarious, actually, now that I say it out loud. But like the people who have like a lot of following on cats. And so that's what I would start to get some of those listed down, because what we're going to do, the next step from this is we're going to actually take that content, we're going to analyze it. So right now we're just trying to get, where do we get the sources of the content, the data? All right, who else needs? Anybody else? Yeah. Oh. Oh, yeah, yeah. You need to save it. You need to save a new copy in the new. Yeah, you can do it. Yes, exactly. Yeah, no problem. I'm not going to give you access to edit my document. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. All right. Anybody else? Does everybody have a source? Because the next step's important to have a source. So I'm happy to like help everybody get a source. Okay. Yes.
I'm actually working on a product that's like combines productivity and mindfulness because we, as for now, both exist separately. Like productivity apps makes you efficient, but kind of leads you to burnouts. But mindfulness apps again, like maybe asks you to like do some sort of exercises, but not at the right times. So I'm trying to combine these two based on you know. Particularly for knowledge-based workers who deal with a lot of people and have like a lot going on and have like their own productivity trackers, so something that kind of combines both.
To be honest with you, I would look at the sources that already do that and I would filter for 1 star or 2 stars. And I would look at that information and then I would like separate the reviews out, but I would for sure get the information that's in the 1 to 2 stars. Yeah. All right. Anybody else coming? I love how much you guys are helping me get my steps in today.
I actually just had a quick question. When you say source, I was thinking LinkedIn. Are we going to a specific post with lots of comments, or are we just typing in specifically what we're looking for?
That is a great question. And yes, I want you to take the literal link from the literal post that has content against it. And to be honest with you, we've got time today, so you can do multiple links. We'll take the time to be able to do that. Yes.
I'm a little bit ahead in one step, but it's saying to input into Claude. And I'm just wondering, with what I've heard about new ideas, services.
To ask about that yet. we're yeah, you can ask that question when we get there. We're still on step 1. I'm coming. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, websites are also an option if you know of a person, a thing, a service, or a product. Okay, everybody has a source? I feel like I need to do some sort of like activities up here. I'm gonna have to get you guys to get up and dance around. So if you just have the links, you just list the links. Yeah. How you doing? Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, I would go to the, but if you can, if they have an actual, not from the person, but from the company, and then if they actually have a section where people can write reviews, you also can look at Google Business Reviews. All right, everybody has some sources? And nobody's going ahead, right? Did I say that in the beginning? Don't go ahead. Okay, so now that we have our sources, now we're going to go to our second tool of the day. Who uses Claude? Okay, good. So Claude's my work husband. I call him Chip. We spend a lot of time together. I also am giving you a really important nugget about Claude. So Claude came out of like the head engineers, head of security from ChatGPT. They sort of thought they were going to leave the business because ethically they weren't aligned with what was happening with the business of OpenAI and ChatGPT. And then they decided, well, and it's a little bit, I guess, how I got started too, is they didn't want to take a back step because it was that freight train was going to move with or without them. So instead, they decided to start another model called the constitutional AI. So OpenAI has GPT, they have the constitutional AI. So when they launched, they were not necessarily a learning model. So ChatGPT is a learning model, right? It always wants to be learning from you to help improve the model. And when Claude came out, they didn't. That was not their default. As a matter of fact, they said, we're not going to learn from your information. We also, want you to know that if you put in private information, we want you to delete it as soon as you're done. We don't store it. Like once you delete it, it's gone. And then 2 weeks ago, Claude came out and said, hey, we introduced Claude Code, and so many people are using Claude Code that we know we need to make improvements with it. We can't do it unless we know what people are doing and how they're using it. So we'd like to have the opportunity to learn from your information, but we're giving you an option to opt out of it. No one read that email. I know no one read that email because this is the third talk I've done in September and everyone acts like that's new information. I promise you they sent you multiple emails about it. I promise you it's been all over social. Please, I will show you how to do it. But if you do not want to share your information back with the model, you should turn off learning. Okay? Anybody turn off the learning already? Did people read the email? It is surprising. I'm going to have to give a medal to you. Yes. Hang on one second. I need to get a microphone to you.
Check your phone security section about AI, because it's a part where it says you don't want to allow it out. Yeah. If it's already set and you try to do this on your phone, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. Did you want to say that?
No, I don't know quite how to say it.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're talking about privacy settings on our phones. I do want to sort of just start with the base level, though, of making sure that if you don't, now depending on how you use these tools, you might not mind to use it as learning. Like if everybody shuts it off and they don't allow them to learn, then they're still not going to get better, right? So there certainly are use cases when it's okay to share information. As a base level, no one wants to put, I do not recommend that anyone puts anything into any of these models unless you are in a closed loop system, which if we're downloading new apps today, I'm going to guarantee that most of us are not on closed loop systems right now. We don't want to put any personal private information in them. So how do we decide what that is? I use some very simple logic here. If you're willing to post it on social media, you're willing to put it on your website, it's okay. If it's something that you don't want to share that way, I wouldn't put it in there. Okay? So as we go further on today, I just want to make sure that we sort of keep that in the back of our minds. Does anyone need me to show you how to turn off the learning? Okay. So if we go down into, I don't know if you can see my cursor down here. Can you see my cursor moving down here in the bottom left corner of your screen? You will also see, if you're logged in, you will also see yourself. That's basically where you're going to be able to get to your settings. Once you get into settings, you're going to go to privacy, and you're going to see data privacy at the top. And then at the bottom, you're going to see help improve Claude. You're going to toggle that off. Okay, so if it's like this, see where this is blue, this is on. If it's black, it's off. Anybody need me to walk through that one more time, or did everybody find their way there? Yes. Oh, I should make sure. Did everyone get into Claude? Does somebody need me to go back to the QR code so you can get back there? I was hoping everybody was going to have more fun today. Is this everyone having fun? Because I'm not sure you're the right crowd for my parties. Okay, did everybody get to Claude? Did everybody get their, if they want to not have Claude learn from them, did they get that turned off?
If you want to like contribute to Claude, but not all of your stuff, would you then toggle it on, or would it historically go back and like use private data you didn't really want to share?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
I want to help, but you don't want to be like, my social security number is. Obviously, I hope you wouldn't put that in. But
Is that going on the internet?
I hope not. This is what I'm saying.
Are you putting that on your social account, or? Yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna like scour my computer and take personal data, only the stuff you use relevantly in Claude.
So there are integrations you can make within Claude to start giving it access to more things. So I would say that if you're starting to expand into giving access to other places, your default probably is to not have it learning. But if you're just going to use Claude as a chat model, and you're going to maybe use it for some coding and some things like that, then it's, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, everybody else good? Okay. So now we are to Claude. And we have it. Okay, so now we're moving into how we can start to get some ideas. Okay, now this is like where things start to get interesting. So the way that these prompts are written that you should see in your document is you'll see things that are yellow and you will see things that are blue. Okay. Anything that is yellow is what you have to do. Anything that's blue is already been done for you. Now, the way to read this is you're going to insert the content from the source. Okay, so the link that we did earlier that we decided we want to take information from here, we're going to go to that place and we're going to sort of like do a select all, copy and paste. Now, when you do this into Claude, it is most likely, depending upon how much data you have in there, it's going to like create another document as like an attachment, and it's going to say pasted, because Claude's like, I don't want you to have to like look at all of this. I know that it's there. So don't be nervous if it all of a sudden creates like another little attachment when you paste information in. Then we're going to fill in sort of like where the information came from. So did it come from LinkedIn? Did it come from their website, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you are referencing a website, you can just put that URL in. Okay, so that's like easier, right? And with deep research with Claude, you also can go out and sort of index information. But I think for this exercise, it's almost better if you actually have all the content. And I recommend that you do it right in your document. Like literally just go, like whatever the content from the source is, like overwrite this and put that information there. Whatever, wherever the information came, put that there. Because then basically what you can do is just copy and paste this whole thing into Claude. Does that make sense, or do you want me to show you an example? Example. Okay. Does somebody have something that I can use? Yeah, Jeff.
I went out to eat at Blue Water Grill the other day, so I went to Google reviews, and there were like 2,000 of them in there, so I copied that.
Great.
Blue Water, because I wanted to see if people experienced it similar to what I experienced. Not that it has anything to do with
Okay, great. All right. You just went to Google reviews?
Yeah. And then you can copy there's a.
I just don't necessarily want all these images, but we'll see. I think if
No,
I.
and I just copied the link to that.
Oh, yeah, I guess we can do that too.
Yeah, there's like a share button somewhere.
Yeah, right here. All right. Actually, let me go back to. I was in the same spot where it was. And then can you also tell me when I do this, can you see the document that I shared with you changed? Do you see this document or this link now? I'm not sure if I have the right document open. On your, remember I said leave it open and that way if I have to make changes?
So on the original.
Yeah. Do you see that change on the original? And then this is the one drawback to holding a mic. So just give me one. I'm going to put this down so I can use two hands. Okay, so I just took all that information, including the prompt, the changes that I made into the prompt, and I'm pasting it here. Now, the reason why this looks short is because I'm just taking the link. If you have a free account of Claude, do you still have deep research? I can't remember. Okay. Thank you. All right, so the reason why I clicked on deep research for Claude is because sometimes Chip can be a little finicky sometimes, and he'll be like, I can't search the internet. And you're like, yes, you can. Stop lying to me. This is what I mean. Like, they get very fickle, these tools. So some social media actually, they have like a no scraping policy. And so they sort of put on provisions to block you. So in that case, what we would do is it would be annoying, but we have to sort of select copy and paste. You also could potentially take a screenshot as well and attach that and just, use that information. Most of the tools now can actually can read from images. So that's another option as well. If you're trying to go from a source that won't allow you to reference it, you can actually just take take a copy of the image and then attach that. Okay, so Claude now wants me to confirm, and this is probably partially because I also put in deep research. So it's saying, I'll help you analyze the Google reviews to identify potential product or service opportunities. To give you the most valuable insights, let me clarify a few things. So Chip wants to know, are we looking to create products or services on the business being reviewed, or are you considering offers that address the gaps you find? Okay, so this is like, am I doing this for myself, or am I doing this am I doing this to create something new that I'm not a part of that company, or am I doing this as a part of the company? Okay, so it wants clarification there. The second thing is, are you interested in identifying completely new product categories or improvements on existing services that could meet customer needs? For instance, somebody actually worked in the food industry, and they actually discovered that the reason why one of their restaurants wasn't performing right was because of the lighting. and they dramatically changed the amount of business that they did just by changing the lighting that they had not even thought to do before they actually did this analysis. Okay. All right. Then the third thing is, what's your business context? Are you an entrepreneur working for this company or researching a specific industry? So Jeff, this was your idea for an example. Who do we want to be? Yeah.
What am I here for?
No, based on this example that we're doing, do we want to work for Blue Water, or do we want to be a competitor to Blue Water?
I'd like to be a competitor of Blue Water.
Okay.
I'd like to open a restaurant.
You what? You'd like to open it? Yeah, perfect. And then are we most interested in identifying completely new product categories or improvements to meet the needs of the issues that are here?
Well, based on the comments, the feedback, it looks like there's issues related to parking, food consistency, noise, like
Yeah.
acoustics.
Stop getting ahead of us. Which do we want to do?
I'm sorry.
Jeff was going, for people online that probably can't hear him, he was going on and on to tell us what all the reviews actually are right now. Okay, so what are we most interested in? We want to address we want a new product, or we want to make improvements? Okay, and then entrepreneur, right? Is that who we want to be? Now, sometimes I get like a little bit lazy, so I'm just going to address this as like one. We're going to say new. And then this is also a cheat in case you don't know this. If you hit return on its own, it's going to think that you're submitting. But if I want to move to a new line, I hit shift and return, and that will allow me to move to the new line without submitting it. You want me to say that again slower? So right now, if I were to just hit return, it's only going to get that from me. Like it's going to submit it. If I want to continue on and I want the next number to be 2 as I go down, if I hit shift, the shift key, if I hold the shift key and I hit return, then I'm going to get to the next line. Okay. It's a little bit like Excel requires, I think, option, but here it's shift. Everybody follow? Okay. So the second thing is we want, new again, and then 3 is entrepreneur, which is a super hard word to spell. And here's the other thing is chat doesn't mind if I don't spell properly. Okay, so now I hit a hard return so that now I can submit it. I was super simple when I got back to it. I wasn't like super, I didn't write like 1 million words. I want to just show you like these engines have gotten really smart that we don't always need to do like really verbose prompts. There are places where we want to do that. We don't have to always do it. There are other places that we can get into that will require a little bit more and more sophisticated. Certainly when you get into like vibe coding and things like that, you're going to want your prompts to be a lot longer so that you can make sure you keep your AI assistant on track. But right now we're actually just looking for it to help us brainstorm. Because a lot of times, like we could go out and look at this, and what happens is we build our own walls for the box that we don't even know are there. We give ourselves our own limitations that we don't even acknowledge the fact that we're doing that. And so what will happen is Chip doesn't know. He doesn't know what's in my mind. So he's not gonna sort of like focus it. Now, I have no doubt, and the reason why this is coming back long is because I decided to go deep research, which may or may not have been the smartest move. So what's going to happen is he's going to just come back with maybe some things that are very simple and maybe some things that aren't. Or, sorry, maybe some things that are innovative and maybe some things that are more expected. I guess that's a better way to say it. Sometimes like the best thing is if we can actually do a grid that's like simple but innovative, right? Like that's the golden ticket right there. Did anybody get any responses yet? Oh, is Claude down? My cloud's still working, so it might be, where are they? Anna, where are you, Anna, on online? Where are you based? Because I wonder if your cloud server's down. But it's great that ChatGPT worked. Somebody raised their hand over here. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it could be. Everybody doing okay? Anybody need help? Okay. Help. Okay, so one thing I should know is Claude creates artifacts. That's what Claude calls it. And so what sometimes happens is you're going to get a response and you won't think that you got one because it might be compressed or buried in a link. So Brooke just had that happen. I'm just sort of doing a cursory check to see if anybody else has that limit. Has everybody gotten a response? We might have to do a refresh. I might do the same thing. Yeah. 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 So the hard thing, you usually know when they're getting ready also to release something else new because it seems to get stupider for a period of time. We can always move to chat if we want to, and we also can move to step 3. So right now, because I clicked deep research, you will see here that right now we're at 183 sources and counting. And it's really citing quite a bit of very specific information. I mean, it's breaking down percentages of how many bad reviews there are in certain areas. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes, there is. Yeah. Yeah. So Poe is actually that is not it. So chat and Claude are sort of their own. They're an actual model. Okay, they're an actual long language model. Something like Poe actually takes all those language models and pulls them in so that then you can use them all within one tool. One thing to know when you use a tool like that, so that's great. They put their own sort of guardrails and permissions on it. So there are some times that you're not going to get exactly the same output because you're sort of going one more step removed. It's a little bit like taking a picture of a picture, but like with a filter, if that makes sense. No, not at all. We're going to go to Perplexity next. Yeah. Yeah. We do. Yes. So they're all good for different things. So I've done quite a few examples where we do like a showdown. We compare the exact same prompt in 4 different tools, like 4 different native language models. And it's really interesting to sort of look at how they come back. Like Gemini Deep Research will take like an hour, but it will come back with like, I mean, a very detailed research paper. Like, in other words, if you were looking to like work on your dissertation, like that's a great place to start. Where we're going to go to next, I think we're finally done now. We have people online, so I have to get you a microphone.
So on Claude, they gave me some results as far as where they pulled the information. Do you know how to get that and pull it over? Do I have to ask again, like, can you create a list of that I can copy?
Are you talking about how you get it into an artifact? So you should be able to just select them. Oh, you will go out and actually link directly to them because it's showing you the sources so that you can check it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we got a response here of a bunch of feedback. So the analysis that we got back is that the customer feedback across the industry reveals 10 innovative business opportunities with AI powered. I don't know what this is looking for, but this does not seem, this looks like a hallucination to me. What a hallucination is? I did explain earlier, but I'll tell again, like it's like it decided to research something completely unrelated to blue water. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing that I want to do is based on the information that came back and the key learnings that came back, can everybody pick out a few that they're happy with, like that they're interested in, and they're like, hey, you know, would you like to learn more about those types of learnings? Do we want to dive a little bit deeper into those learnings? So can we identify the top ones that came back? Because then what we're going to do is we're going to take them into Perplexity, and we're going to let Perplexity actually research that a little bit further. So this is like step 4. Did anyone get their AI to actually give them some ideas? Did anyone like any of the ideas? It's a fair question. Sometimes they're bad ideas and we have to ask the question differently. Like I had a straight up hallucination happen up here. I got nothing. Yeah? Yeah? Did it work? Okay, good. Okay, so I want to give us a second to just celebrate if we got some ideas back that we like and we're excited about. So everybody gets a chance to like be happy. Yay! Okay, so why would we want to dig deeper into Perplexity at this point if we're happy with the ideas that came back? Because we think they're a good idea, but are they? Yeah, exactly. We want to flesh them out. We want to know if it's actually like, does the market really want this? Like, is there an opportunity for it? So that's sort of the next piece. So of these ideas that came back, what are the questions that we want to learn about these ideas that will help us determine, like validate if this is a good path to go down? Now we can do this 2 ways. We can ask the AI to tell us what are the questions we should ask to decide if this is a good idea. And we can also just determine what they are on our own. Anybody stuck? Yes. How can I help you?
It gave me this really cool thing, but now I don't know. I'm just confused. What do you say to this?
So the idea is we're going to move into another tool that does really great research. And so what we want to do is validate the ideas. I mean, you certainly could. So this is the output over here. So if you actually just hit copy right there, you can copy and put that into your document. Mm-hmm. Up here. Okay, great. Yep, perfect. Perfect. So the next thing is like of the idea that came back, like how do we know that it's a good idea? We want to prove out that it's a good idea. So it's like, you know, especially if we're going to have to invest money into this, we want to make sure that like we're going to be able to get the money. And the best way to get the money is to prove the fact that there's a need for it. So for anyone that's never sort of like been an entrepreneur or had to sort of go down this path, even when you want to take money from friends or family, they still are going to want to know, like, is this like, do you have enough information to create a business plan, right?
So is there a way on how to define a right way and a wrong way, or a good way, bad way to list your information? Because I always think input output, right? Like if you could give us on the dig deeper, what are some good things to know about your input of your list?
Yeah, so some good ideas are, you could look at audience. So like, is there any information on people that would want this? And you might be able to even get that from the source that you were in. Are there other people doing this? And if so, how much money are they making? Are they making on it? And is there a gap in the industry that would allow us to sort of be able to fit within that, or fill that need? So those are some areas to go down. I remember like one, I think Karen, we did this at the MCWT. It was like we went down, I like decided to pick on Bissell for like 3 months last year. And we were learning about vacuums, remember? And it was just sort of this idea of like people sort of were like complaining and wanted it, but there wasn't actually a market to support it, right? Yeah. So sometimes it's like it can seem like a really good idea, and yeah, there's some chatter about it, but there's not actually enough market to support it. So even though it seems like a good idea, it probably wouldn't make enough money, right? Yes. So it depends if you pay for Perplexity. Yeah. No, it should. If you've logged in, it will still save it. Yeah, you won't be able to. So if you're not on a paid version of Perplexity, it does limit, like if you get back graphs and charts and things like that. But to be honest with you, you can now take all that data and put it into chat or whatever and get a graph anyway. So it's not really that big of a limitation. Yes. So we're going to ask the dig deeper. It's like, what's going to help us figure out if this is a good idea? So it's like, do we need to know about the audience? Do we need to know about something related to the market? Like what's the market size for like an idea like this? So we're sort of compiling a list of the questions that we want to know. And then we're going to directly put that into Perplexity and ask it to tell us. Yeah. So. But did you? Like that's like, so the thing is like these, sometimes it's like a magic trick, and it's like the AI will come back and it will give you so much more than what you asked for. And it will give you the whole thing because it thinks you want it. I used to show like the tools were a little bit worse beforehand, but it used to be ChatGPT was a little bit like talking to a kid. So it's like it would just sort of like lean forward with what it thinks you want to hear. Whereas like at the time, Claude was more of like coffee with a friend, which was it would basically give you no information unless you clarified it. You know what I mean? They were very, very different tools. Chat has a tendency to be like lean. ChatGPT has a little bit of like it wants to lean forward into a little bit more fluffy and a little bit more information than what you asked for. So all I'm asking is like my team hates this, but like sometimes it's like we have to go slow to go fast. Like I could have taken you, we already could be in a situation where we could be having like launching our product online right now. We could, but that's not really going to help us at all. It's just going to be more noise and clutter if we don't prove the fact that it's a good idea to begin with. So this is like the slow to go fast part. I promise the next part will get very fast. We're just walking right now. Maybe crawling. We're like in the middle, getting standing. Anybody having trouble? Do you need help? What's happening?
Nothing.
Oh, did you make a copy? Is it right here? This says it's a copy. And it didn't work either? Okay, it looks like it's working.
It's just paste something. I do everything paste because I've tried to paste it.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It was awesome, actually. It was called Flicks and Flavors. We did the whole brand and everything. Yeah. I did a 3-day workshop with this whole idea where we actually like fully branded the product and did the full sales campaign and launched in 3 days. That's a little bit longer. We're not going to do the brand today. He did the whole thing. Did nothing. Did nothing. Like literally he had like a list of people that want to participate. Like it was already like a running business. Did nothing. This is what I mean. Let him be an example. Let my dad be an example. I want you to actually take this and do something with it. My dad literally launched an entire company in 3 days and then did nothing with it. So I want everybody here to make money. I love you, Dad. Okay, did everybody go, did you go to Perplexity? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I would take all of that. So is this the research? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't sure.
Yeah, you can put that. Yep. But so I would say, I mean, it's great that it gave you a comparison, but I would say, okay, but like, what's the opportunity? To me, you need one more question in chat. So the idea over here was she's comparing two products that exist and trying to find where the cross section of the gap exists between two apps that are out there right now. So Liz got all the information back and was just going to put it in the worksheet. But I think that we're missing just one step here, which is we need to distill it down into what's the actual opportunity. So thank you very much for the comparison. Please distill down to the opportunity. So I would say, you know, this is a little bit like where the human comes in, right? It's like it can give us back tons and tons of information, but did we get the information that's actually going to be helpful for us? Yeah, no problem. Are we good? Everybody, so did everybody take their couple data points that they want to know more about to prove if this is a good idea? And we're going to take it into Perplexity. Yes. You did it. You're ready. Good. That's fine. Okay, so when we put it into Perplexity, we're literally going to take the questions that we have coming out of the data that we have and asking for the information to come back. And then we're going to use our own brains, our very, very powerful, smart intellect, right? It's like as Steve said yesterday, if anybody went to the actual kickoff, did anybody go see Steve yesterday? And he said AI actually stands for actual intelligence. So we're going to use our actual intelligence today to validate the information that comes back and say, yes, this is a good idea. We should move forward with it. or hey, maybe we need to go back to the first tool and like dive a little bit deeper and dig a little bit deeper to find something that might be better? Or can we, based on the information that comes back, modify that idea to actually be a good idea that would satisfy market requirements? You're dialed into your idea? You got it nailed down? You said you took it in Perplexity. You good? You got your idea nailed? Okay. Okay. All right. I know, you guys, this is like a little bit of the hard part, but I promise it's worth it. Yes. Oh, well, the 5 deep dive questions is what you're taking. Yeah. Because that's like your validation. So it's not necessarily really about the idea. It's about the things that will prove that the idea is a good one. It's more like the strategic side. Is anybody getting like super jazzed about their idea? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I love to hear that. Yeah. Love it. So in the old days, when we used to do these types of exercises, these would take us like 3 to 6 months. Because number one, we'd have to have, like a bunch of people come together and put like smart ideas together to begin with. And then we'd actually have to go out and do all kinds of research, right? We would send out surveys and we would actually get people in rooms and talk about it and see if it was a good idea. Like that stuff took a lot of time. And there's still value in doing that now. But sometimes when we actually just want to get something in the market and test it, we're like, this is like a good enough, right? This type of research is good enough. I would actually say it's like better than good enough. But what we're doing right now used to take huge teams of people. I mean, by the time we were all said and done, it probably took the size of the room of people here. Are we ready to go to the next step? Everybody raise their hand if they're ready to go to the next step, or if they still need more time with, well, I'm not going to give those 2 options because then I won't know anything. Does anyone need more time with Perplexity? Okay, so everybody else is like ready to dive in. You've got an idea. Okay, great. Okay, so I want to make sure that at this point you're committing to your top 1 to 2 ideas. So you should be at whatever step this is. 6. So are you logged in? I don't think you were logged in. Were you? Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So you can save with the little save. Yeah. The little save marker. Yes. Yes. All right. Does everybody have their top 1 to 2 ideas written down? Like you're going to commit to these now. Awesome. I'm so glad you're sitting up front. You're like dialed today. You're here at like 7:45. You're ready to go. There is more coffee. Okay, because we're going to start building our offer now. So that's why I just want to make sure we've got our idea. We've validated our idea. We're ready. We ready? Okay. So now if we continue in our worksheet, we're going to get another one of those prompts that we have to do things. And then we can also take things. So at this point, we already have ChatGPT open because, we figured out what we're having for dinner tonight. So that's like checked off our list. Look at these things we're getting done today, you guys. Okay, so now again, as we know, blue, you can take it. Yellow, it's your job. So the okay. For the people who are starting a new business, I'm going to give you something different to do here. For everybody else who has a business, you can use this prompt directly. So does anybody already have a seasoned chat? So do you know what I mean by a seasoned chat? Okay, so a seasoned chat is basically something that knows you. Okay, you use it very often. Are you raising your hand? You do? Yeah. So you use it very often. It knows things about you. So you can like ask it to tell you about yourself, and it will be able to do that. If you don't, you can do sort of like a cheat, which is like go out and visit your website or go out and visit like a place where you have a lot of information about yourself, and then it can learn it and get to know you. Okay. So this is the fastest way to do it of like, please visit your website. So you'd fill in your website in the yellow and give me an overview of my business. And that's, how you validate that it actually knows who you are and it's not having a hallucination like we had with Blue Water Grill suddenly becoming a defense arm. I don't know how that happened, but that would really be wild for a restaurant. Okay, so we're going to do that first sort of on its own, and we're going to validate the information that comes back. So if everyone can except for my people who are starting a new business entirely, does everybody have a business website that they can go out to reference their company? Okay, so anyone that doesn't and is starting something completely new, okay, then other places that you can reference are places where you have talked about content or potentially you have talked about that idea. If you've never talked about it at all, then we're just going to basically get down to tone, or we're going to skip that entirely. The reason why I'm pressuring you a little bit on how you can fill in here is just how it will actually refine information that it comes back to you with, and it will make it more usable for you if it actually knows who you are, versus it will be more generic if we don't. So this is just like a way to get you closer to being able to take the step that we talked about where you actually make this happen today. And this should be in your worksheet, so you should be able to adjust this. But I want you to sort of just do this prompt on its own, especially if you're going to have it go out and reference something of yours, because I want you to be able to validate the information that comes back. So we're just going to do this first. See where this double caret is? We're going to do this one first, and then we'll take the next part, okay? So we're going to take those as two separate prompts. Anybody run this yet and get information back? I'd love to. Okay. Would you mind sharing?
Well, it's based on what I do. It suggested that I asked it if developing an app would be a good idea. So it's given me a lot of good things to think about.
That's great. Did you actually get to doing this prompt that's about your website? Okay, great. Okay. Oh, I see. You moved to the second prompt already. Nope, that's okay. Did anybody get a response back that you're like, that's not right? That's not what I do. That's not who I am. Great. So everybody's getting back perfect information? I'm here for everyone. So if I can help in any way, please let me know how I can help. Because after today, you have to pay for me. So if the information comes back and it's like you and you don't need to make any edits, you can go directly into sort of the next prompt. If it comes back and it's not like you have to edit and correct it with what's wrong. And then I would also say make a note to yourself, because that means that you potentially have a gap wherever you pulled that information from. Yes. Yeah. So my recommendation. We actually have a situation where chat is like not behaving and it doesn't want to review a website. So a lot of times that's a form of a hallucination, and you're not going to like this answer, but you're going to probably, I would recommend starting a new chat and see if it behaves. Yeah, she did. Yeah. Yeah. It's sometimes they get themselves off track and they can't get back on. How are we doing back here? I thought I saw somebody raise their hand, but now I can't remember who. Everybody good? Okay. Hallucinating, I guess. Yeah. Okay, everybody else, have we gotten through this activity? Have we gone to the second part of the prompt? Okay. And it told you it's ready. Yes, Jeff.
One thing it did at the bottom, which I found really fascinating, is it asked if it wanted to do a SWOT. It asked if it wanted to do a SWOT related to the idea. So I said, yes, please. And it came back with more refined answers to me. And then it asked again, like, do I want to do a 90-day strategy based on SWOT? So that was really cool. I haven't done that before yet. So
it's awesome. Anybody else? All right. I'm going to move to the next step unless somebody says, please wait. All right. Okay. So now your chat agent, whether it's ChatGPT or it's Claude, whoever you're working with at this point, we're back to traditional language models. So could you do this in Perplexity? Potentially, but you remember we talked about like use the right tool for the right thing. We're now moving into some content type things that aren't so heavily on research. So we should go back to our language model. Okay, so we want to figure out who our ideal person is for this, right? So we want to figure out who our audience is. So if you know who your current audience is, so we're again going to split the room with like who's coming up with a totally new company idea versus who's just trying to refine their product offering. You will or won't know who the actual audience is. Okay, so you're going to fill in who your current audience is if you have it. If not, we're going to refine this prompt slightly. Does anybody need me to refine the prompt? Yeah. Did anybody confirm if when I type on mine, do you see it? Do I have the right one open?
I'm not seeing it.
Does anybody find the Wi-Fi to be slow here, or is it just me?
No, it's been really slow today.
Okay.
It's unusual because I'm even on the secure network.
I know I've never had the Wi-Fi slow here, but you know, that's just how it goes. Of course, it's not going to let me pull up that document easily. I'm still going to put it in here, and then you'll just have to make the modification on your side. Is that okay? Is that okay? Actually, you know what? I think you can make this as easy as please define my ideal audience for this offer. I think that's as simple as we should make it right now. Just take the first sentence if you don't already have an audience. If you have an audience, you should use the full prompt. Actually, that's a lie. I want you to also include the please define why you've made this recommendation. I do want you to include that. Anybody get an audience? What do you think? As well as a secondary audience. Great. Excellent. Anybody else get an audience? Anybody get an audience that doesn't feel right? Everyone's still here. Now, I recommend that all these outputs that you're getting, which of course I've waited till like nearly the end to tell you this, all the outputs that you're getting that you're actually going to take to refine this idea, you should be pasting those into this worksheet so that then when you leave here, you remember how you got there. And it also gives you a full document that then you can actually import into your knowledge base and you can take with you into any language model that you're working in. So I'm giving you like a twofer here. It's like for today, what we're doing, but it's also like long term. Anybody ready to keep going, or people need more time on audience? Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is to actually move into pricing. So now that we know what it is, we know who it's for. Now, what are we going to charge for it? And just due to the time of where we are right now, I want you to just take this full prompt and run it as is. You don't need to add anything else in because it should know everything. The only thing is, Julie, because we had to start a new chat, you're going to have to maybe put a little bit more information back in to get to this part. Did anybody else have to start an entirely new chat because it started to hallucinate? I mean, that's good. I mean, only one person, but yeah. You would know. She couldn't get it to reference her website, so you would know. Okay. Who's making big money? So I like to actually run this in two models. I like to run this at least in ChatGPT and Claude, even though Claude's having an off day at the moment, my poor little husband. And the reason why I do it, I like to do that is because typically I have found that Claude is more conservative and chat can be overly optimistic. So I like to actually take them both and I like to look at sort of like why they gave that rationale and then figure out sort of what I want to do with it. I mean, again, we're not trying to make these tools make us an expert in things that we don't know. So we should have some idea. The third thing that we can do is when the price comes back, we can search it in Perplexity and see if that's the actual average price. And Perplexity could have even given us that information when we did the research. Anybody happy with numbers that came back? Yeah. Yeah. So Perplexity was founded specifically on research, deep research. So even though all these tools are trying to do many things that the other ones are doing, that's really what Perplexity's superpower is research, the specific data. It is much less likely to hallucinate. Not impossible, but it's much less likely to hallucinate because of the way that it references everything. The other thing is that because you can only do 3 deep, I think this gentleman up here let me know that if you're on a free version of Claude, you can only do 3 deep researches a month. It's just use Perplexity. Yeah. Okay. Anybody like excited about the money they can charge for this new idea?
Oh, great. So she was able to put together 3 different packages.
Yeah, this is awesome. So we have somebody who actually got 3 entire packages created. So it's not even just like a one-time fee. We've got a full offering. How you doing? Okay. Anybody else want to share? I don't see like the smiles I was hoping to see today. Is this just me? Anybody feel like this new idea is going to change their lives?
I just wanted to share, it's been really helpful because I already had the idea and I've been working on it. I'm pitching it tomorrow actually. And so it helps me really validate it even further.
I love that. So if you said you're pitching it tomorrow, does that mean you are at demo day? Yeah, awesome.
Questions I had, so this really helped me like.
Yeah. I'm so excited for that additional information that's going to help with for tomorrow. All right, anybody else? Otherwise, we're going to quick keep moving because it's almost time for us to take a quick break and then move to our next piece. Okay. So now that we know who the offer or what the offer is, who it's for, and the pricing, now we want to create positioning statements that are going to allow us to go into the market. So I always like to start with like 10. You could do 20 if you want to. You could do 5. I feel like 10 is right because some of them you're just going to throw out because they're not going to be helpful at all. That are going to resonate with this customer. So at this point, you are literally copying and pasting into the same chat that you've been going through. So at this point, we should be just like fast going, other than validating. But at this point, we should be moving pretty fast. And if we have been validating all the way along, it should be really accurate. What happens is it will follow you like a bad penny. If you do not take the time to make the change when it comes back and is not accurate, it will follow you. It will haunt your life. It will haunt your dreams. So make sure that you change it right when it gets off track, or otherwise it will still be following you here. Who got some positioning statements that they're excited about? Awesome. So everybody else got positioning statements they were not happy with? You are a tough crowd. I'm not used to it. Yeah. I don't think that's true. I think it depends how you want to ask the questions. Yeah. So Perplexity, I would advise that you do one topic at a time, because otherwise it won't give you the thorough type of response. So for Perplexity, for sure, you want to take one data point at a time. And just to confirm sort of your question about chat, it's like chat can take a pretty sizable amount of input. It can do it. I think it's the style and like how much the questions are different from each other. Like, in other words, are you trying to get it to go in like multiple different directions? Yeah. You want to take them separately. Mainly for you, because it's harder to sort of like weed that back out, versus like if you do it one piece at a time and it makes a mistake, you can then get it to, make the correction and then sort of transition or go to the next piece. Okay, so does anybody feel like from those positioning statements that you could then just ask to create like some social posts that might be able to get people interested to start this new product, this new venture? Okay, I would say pick out whatever your favorite positioning statement is, and I would say now create 10 social posts for me to launch this business or launch this product or launch this service. And I would be specific about what that is. Actually, I'm a liar. I want to do one more thing. Do we have time? Can we just take 2 minutes? Can we name this thing? Give me 20 names for this thing, whatever it is. Company, service, product. Now, you'll get better ideas if you had a company name website that you use to give it, or you have a seasoned chat. It's going to be better. It's also going to be better if you give it some sort of personality. You want it to be fun. You want it to be serious. You're going to want to go back and like figure out the naming thing on your own. I'm really trying to like shove it through really quickly because we're getting towards the end now. But I want you to have a name so that when you do a social post, it's not just like super vague. Anybody a name they like? What? Oh, great. Great. So you're like ready to go, right? Then you're going to ask for, 10 social posts to launch it, to launch this idea. I would literally say that. Please give me 10 social posts to launch this, for posting on wherever you're going to do it, social or on Facebook or LinkedIn, or be specific about your. So while we sort of wrap up here today, and we get excited about if we have like a product idea or a service idea where we think we're going to need a little bit of money to support it, because that's really, we have Sharon's in the room now. So we're going to give everybody a chance to like do a little break and like get some drinks and things like that in the meantime. But what I hope that you've taken away from this is a lot of this was strategy. A lot of this was us actually using our brains. It's just that what AI helped us do was actually like take action instead of us like noodling in our notebooks. Did you get your social post done? Are you ready? Are you dialed? Did you launch this? Who's going to launch? You're going to launch? I think you're ready. Yeah. Okay, good. Excellent. Great. So the one thing about like logos and things like that come out of ChatGPT, and this is like where we start to get into like who owns what content where. I forgot to ask, anybody use DeepSeek? Good. I don't even have to talk about it. You have to be really careful about like terms of use with different AI tools, because you don't always own the content that goes into it. So that's one thing that just note that there's a lot about images and things like that of, who actually owns that content. You know, you got people like Adobe saying we stand behind it because we trained off of stuff we already own, or we pay the people out on it. It's the Supreme Court has not figured out how copyright's going to work with AI yet. So my only point is, when you get a logo or something like that you create from Canva or you create from ChatGPT, just make sure that you make some of your own modifications to it so that you make sure that you've put your own human mark on it. Okay, so does anybody have questions now coming out of this? And then I am just going to ask you to go to the mics if you do. I know that we took a lot of questions as we went, but now that we've gone through sort of this whole process, does anybody have any like overall questions that you want to pick my brain on before I release you? Yes. Can you come to the mic? Would you mind?
This is probably a big question, and you might just direct me. Probably I should ask ChatGPT or something, but I have to speak louder, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So if you're doing something where you're sort of curating things from the internet, and this is the big question, if people have put it out there on the internet, it's public. So you can just take can you just take information and repost things? Is that what people are doing? And where do I have to look for, like, do I have to ask permission if I'm going to start, say, curating specific things?
Could you tell me what you mean by curating and reposting?
Okay, so my idea is sort of to come up with a community of sort of organizing cats that are disabled and helping to create get rescued, adopted, things like that. So I already know because I follow some disabled cats on the internet. So do I need permission from these people to use their cats and stuff for, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So if you're doing it on social, for the most part, you're going to share their original post. So they usually will put their permissioning on themselves to say, like, yes, you can share this, or no, you can't. Attribution's huge. Like, you always want to attribute back to whoever the original owner is. And as a best practice, you always want to reach out to that person and just let them know that you'd like to do that. I mean, frankly, you could form a huge network of people that you help bring, get more notoriety for them and more following for them just by curating it. So I don't think it's not a simple yes or no.
Right.
There are just sort of best practices that go along with it.
Okay.
Yeah. But people still own their stuff. Like, people still own their own content.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Just anybody can come to the mic at this point.
Hi, I just want to understand, like, how do we fact check? I know Perplexity is kind of helping with, the stuff that's already out there on the internet, but, these days when we Google, the first information that we get is also AI generated. So how do we fact check when we're researching?
So Perplexity should come back with actual links. You need to check them. So anytime there's the citation that comes back, you want to check that and validate that the information that they gave to you actually came from that source. So that's really how you're going to start to validate it. If things are getting very complicated because of AI generated responses, you can actually filter to take those out. But to be honest with you, so much of the internet now is also being filled with AI content. It's getting more complicated. But I think as long as, if you're going to pull a statistic in particular and use that as something that you want to, I would definitely include that as a citation within your own work.
Thank
you. I won't move it up. I'll just crouch down. As a follow-up to that, is there a way to make the results fact check themselves? Can you ask, you probably can ask ChatGPT to say, will you please fact check what you just gave me using other sources that you did not cite? Has anybody done that?
Yeah, you can.
Does it work? Is it effective?
Yeah. So, I think the problem is it can hallucinate on itself. It can continue the hallucination. It's, if anybody wants to know how AI became the topic that we have right now, it really was because of a New York Times writer. Everybody's tried to say it was because ChatGPT came out, but it's really ChatGPT came out and a New York Times writer had a huge hallucination where like I can't remember, he was writing something and all of a sudden the AI like started saying that they should run away together. He should leave his family and they should run away together. That obviously was like the best clickbait story ever. And you can literally see the trajectory of ChatGPT from that exact article. So when you think about, now this is a lot older model, this is back in the 3.5 days. But when you think about that, it's like, do you want to trust AI to check AI? We still need I would say no. I would say like, can you? Yeah, but just because you can, should you trust it? I wouldn't. I think that's where we still play a huge role. You know, we play the role in having the idea. We play the role in like making sure that it's the thing that we should do. And then we play the role in making sure that the information that comes back is accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, but you're still going to have to check whatever comes back, I guess is the simple way of how I would say it.
So like if you're citing an actual stat, like the Coca-Cola example you had, you should use AI for other things, but an actual stat, you should go to a credible source for that. Like for any kind of industry stat.
Yeah, I mean, I would say anything that you want to sort of like have ownership over, whether that's thought leadership or content, you should make sure that you would stand behind it. And the best way to stand behind it is to validate the information that came back as accurate. So if this is already your place of expertise, you're going to know from a gut check if the information comes back as right or wrong, right? You're going to be able to gut check that. If it's a specific stat, you should be able to, you can't get to a stat without having information behind it. So you should be able to validate that.
Okay.
It's a great question though. Okay. I'm going to let everybody take a break, and then we're going to get started in about 5 to 10 minutes. Does that give everybody enough time to go to use the restroom and get some coffee? Just come back because Sharon's amazing.
In relation to my app, because it kept asking me questions, like digging down, and I didn't think about it. Like, then it said, do you want me to create a proposal? And then after I did that, like, do you want me to review it? It just kept asking me Go.
They're all. I just wanted to say thank you so much. Good to see you. See you again. All right. I love that. Have you made
Two, 1, 2, 1, 2, check 2. Okie dokie. I was going to ask if you were working all day. And then would you like a handheld or a clip-on mic? Okay, cool. We'll keep it simple. Okay, yeah, let's do that.
I read something last night. Yeah, it's very short. Yeah.
I don't know if you
We're
can get
almost
the,
there.
I'll try.
There we go.
Thank you. Yep. Oh, this is probably in the way now.
There we go. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. You're kind of first.
Okay, so
Did you
either
drink like water? Thank you. My throat is
Check
dry
one.
in this room. I was like, man, I have like a tiny headache. Really want to sleep. Yeah.
2 2 1 2 2 2 2 2. You're on and ready.
Hello.
I'll trade you. This one's going to work better for you. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Is this on? Hello. Hello. Hey, everyone. I think we're going to get started back up now. So if everyone can get seated and so I want to thank everybody so much for your time this morning. I hope to hear back from everyone reporting on the amazing profit that you've now added to your business and your life. So I am so excited to welcome with us here today, Sharon Gillenwater. So Sharon has actually come in. If you've read the 1 million emails that I've sent to you over the last few months, you'll know that she actually has come in from the Bay Area. And we're so lucky to have her. So how I got connected to Sharon was, if anybody knows Jennifer Wangler from The Right Place, Jennifer had sent me a note and said, I just read the most incredible book. You should get it. So I did. I follow instructions. And I read this book and I got to this one particular chapter that I think we'll probably touch on today, where Sharon had a situation that was very similar to a startup I had run. And I sent her a note. And I said, well, first of all, I read your book in one day. But I sent you a note on LinkedIn and I said, hey, I had the same experience, very so eerily similar. And I said, I can't wait till we can get together for drinks to talk about it. And here we are. Yeah.
We have to talk about that tonight. I want to hear it.
So Sharon actually wrote a book, and I think you have some of your books here today.
I do.
So-
As in usual fashion, I just left them in the bag. But
Yeah, I like it. So Sharon has some books. So at the end, we'll allow for, some time for people to get books and get autographs if you'd like that. I really cannot recommend the book enough. Sharon, the name of her book is Scaling with Soul, How I Grew and Exited.
how I built and sold a $25 million tech company without being an asshole. Sorry. That was important to me to get that in because it is a problem in tech. I don't know if you've noticed. It's a problem.
And the title is like so perfect because I think it really sets up who you are as a person. So as you know from that title, Sharon has been a tech founder. She has exited very well from her business. And one of the things, because we all were doing innovation today and coming with ideas, I thought, gosh, Sharon, what a great opportunity for us to talk about. Everybody's watched Shark Tank and everybody thinks that's how we raise money. Right? We go to venture capitalists and we just magically get these 6 people to sit in front of us, ask us a few questions, we walk out with a big deal, right? Like that's sort of, I think, what Hollywood has allowed us to think. But I think, anybody who's actually been an entrepreneur and had a business, and certainly, you've been a bit of a serial entrepreneur, it's not exactly like that. So can you take us back to even like your first company that you started? Because the one you exited from was not your first startup. So do you mind sort of telling us about your idea for that company?
Yeah. Well, and thank you for all being here today. This is incredible. I wish I had gone through the exercise with all of you. I'm finding my way with AI just like everybody is. But yes, so back in 1999, I was working at a startup in San Francisco, and I loved startups. That was my first real job, and I was already 30. Like I didn't even get to business until I was 30 because my parents weren't in business. I grew up in a blue-collar household. It just wasn't a thing that I knew anything about. But I moved to San Francisco, and at that time it was Web 1.0, and you just get sucked in. And if you're good at it, if you work hard, people just want more of what you do. So I did very well at this startup, but then I had a baby, and I got tired of taking the train downtown every day. I thought, this isn't as glamorous as it used to be. And I did marry into a family of business people, and they blew my mind at Thanksgiving talking about all the stuff they were doing. And my sister-in-law was an executive at Sony, and she's so entrepreneurial. And she's like, I bought up all these domain names, and I don't have time to do it, but you should start an email newsletter company. And she said, well, call it Fidget, Information for Restless Minds, and we'll have all these email newsletters. So it was her idea, her domain. And she sold another domain for $45,000. And she said, that's the seed money. And so she was a part owner in the company, but she didn't have time to do anything. But she was a mentor to me. And so I was just like, oh my God, and then it's your family. Like if you screw up, it's going to be awkward. And so I started fidget.com. I hired a 20-year-old developer who's a genius who built the site. And we were off and running. And I ran it just out of my kitchen for a while. But back in those days, that's kind of something that you do now, and it's a badge of honor. Back in those days, that was not the case. You had to have an office. You had to have swag. You have to have parties. You have to have venture capital. And that's what the Valley was telling everybody back then. And so I did what they told me, and I raised $3 million in venture capital from a bunch of ex-Disney people who were down in LA, because, we were an entertainment site. And, everybody thinks that's crossing the finish line, raising the venture capital. But what happened was just months after we raised, the NASDAQ crashed. And companies that were worth millions one day suddenly were closing. And our investors panicked. They fired their CEO. They brought in a new CEO who wanted to go into biotech, which I was not. And they shut the company down because we sold a majority stake to them. Don't do that. But even if they didn't have a majority stake, they could still finagle something. And what they did was they then sued us for fraud. And we were not committing any fraud, but they wanted out. And they knew that filing a lawsuit would force us into settlement mode, which our lawyer recommended we settle. So we settled, and they got almost all their money back. And this happens all the time. VCs are fickle. They'll go into one business and then they'll see something over here and be like, oh, we want to put money into this. They will find a way to get their money out and put it over here. And I have a video on TikTok where I break it down like a lemonade stand, because I have a very hard time. I don't have great financial acumen. Like, people start talking about this and I just hear like, wah, 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 wah. But I understand it if it's a lemonade stand. So, and when you put it in those terms of a lemonade stand, it just sounds crazy that anyone would ever agree to these terms. And that's why I like to think of it in those simple terms. So that's what happened. And it was a huge lesson for me. And I like to talk about the real implications of taking venture capital and the reality that only like 0.5% of entrepreneurs ever raise venture capital. So look around, how many people are in this room? Like maybe 50, like, well, half of one of you will raise VC and the rest of us don't need it and won't get it.
Right. Yeah. I actually had a similar situation as well. It's like it's really easy. If they own over 50%, and it can just be 50.001. At that point, they control your destiny. So, if anybody wants to get drinks later, I'll tell my saga as well. So Sharon, when we look at everyone here who, has spent the morning really coming up with new ideas, everything from a totally new company to a new product or service that they're offering. And, tech can be expensive to develop. What are sort of the ways that you would recommend people to go after raising money now? Like, what are some of the easier to harder ways to do that?
Well, I love the seed strapping route, which means you raise a little bit of money from rich people who know something about the area you're going into. I wouldn't recommend reaching out to LinkedIn and through LinkedIn and saying, hi, I'm building this. Want to send you my investor deck. Don't do that. Build authentic relationships with people and be curious about them and what they can bring to the table. Learn about them, follow them on social, engage with their content in an authentic way. And I know when you're trying to do something, you think, I need that money now. I need it now. So if that's the case with you, keep your day job or whatever. That's what I did. I kept my day job for 6 years. And not just because I needed to support my family, but because I was working with the exact people who would be buying my SaaS. And I was learning and I was being paid very well to solve a problem that my SaaS was going to solve later. I was testing the frameworks, the dashboards, how they configure their data so that I would know, how is this SaaS going to need to work? What is the output going to be? So by the time I started writing code, not personally, that I hired someone, I wasn't worried about product market fit because they were already paying me to do the exact thing that my SaaS was going to do. And so if you can do that, if you can be working in the field that you're going to be selling into and working with those exact customers, solving problems for them today, even if it's in a manual way, and building relationships and trust, then once you've built your digital product, I thought it was going to be easier than it was actually, but you've got your market. And the strange thing about it actually is the people you've been serving as a consultant, they're going to be the last ones to come on board because they want you to keep doing what you're doing now. They want you to keep hand holding and all that stuff. And if you want to, you can keep doing that. I did. Just charge them more. Charge them more. And that'll keep you giving money, to fuel your business. So that was my favorite way of doing it. And back then it cost 10 times as much as it does now to build a product. I had to come up with 25 grand for my first product. And it was terrible. It was terribly executed, but we limped along. And I don't know. Then I had to raise angel money. So I did. I had a entrepreneur friend who sold his company. He used to just be a schmo like me, and then he sold his company, made millions of dollars. And then I was afraid to talk to him because I was intimidated. But my husband's like, just tell him what you're doing. So I told him what I was doing. And the unit economics of my solution were incredible. I was being paid $1,000 per record, these records I would create in 2006. And they cost a lot to put together, but like $150. So he's like, just put all that in a database and you can just sell it over and over and keep it updated. I'm like, I know. And he said, I'll write you a check for $125,000 right now. I want 10% of the company. And if you raise more later, I'll put more in because I always want to have 10%. And I'm like, okay, it was less than a 5-minute conversation. I already had a relationship with this guy. I had known him for years. He trusted me. He trusted my whole family. My husband had worked with him. And so it was very easy. So then I took on my business partner, and a couple years later, we needed to do another project. We needed to build out a data set, and that was going to cost money. And he had 2 buddies who he had worked with, and they each put in like $25K. And my partner put in $25K. So it's important when you're building, we tend to, as entrepreneurs, think, I just need to sit behind my computer and work harder and harder and harder and make this better and better and better, and then everything's going to come. It's actually the opposite. You should be building a network of people who've already done what you want to do in your space, and be authentic and reach out to them and say, gosh, I know you're probably super busy, but you did exactly what I'm trying to do. Is there any way that you'll talk to me for like 20 minutes? And they probably will, because I'll tell you one thing, nobody ever learns about you before they reach out, like 95% of people. So that 5% who tell me something about myself, I'll usually talk to them because I'm like, okay, they're not just like papering the world with their pitch decks. Like, that doesn't work. And it actually works against you because it pisses people off. So you will talk to these people, and I would bet money that you'll have a great conversation. And then they're going to say, you know what, you need to talk to my friend so-and-so. I think I did this for 30 days, and I'm an introvert, so it was very hard for me. I said, I'm going to call one person every single day because I'm stuck. I don't know why. I don't know what to do. And in 30 days of calls yielded a business partner that I didn't know I needed, 2 angel investors that came through him, and a vendor that cut my costs by 60% and actually made my business model work because my costs were way too high. So that all unfolded over probably like 6 to 9 months, but it all came from those 30 days of calls. And that's my number one recommendation. No matter what you need, just get on the phone and start talking to people and authentically.
Yeah, it's funny. After we spent the whole morning doing things with artificial intelligence in a very, rudimentary way that didn't involve talking to anyone, including me. So when you think about relationships, it's like, I think when people think about Silicon Valley, and I think this is why everybody thinks I'm going to build like a new company and I have to move out west or I have to move out east. And they do that because I think that there is this idea that that's where the relationships are. Like, that's where you can get in front of the people that you're going to need to get the money from. So from people sitting here in West Michigan, in Grand Rapids, even from the short time that you've been here, what types of recommendations do you make for like feet on the ground, opportunities to build those relationships here?
Well, I think if you had this same session in San Francisco, you'd have like 4 people because there's so much going on all the time. And people could be doing one of 30 things every single day. And there's tons of energy. It's true. And I always encourage people to come out and, tee up some stuff before you come. Call me. I'll host you at my little social club and you'll get all excited. It's inspiring, but you don't see this because there's just too many options. And also a lot of people think they already know everything. So I think that you're better off here. You can engage and you can go there, but I think you're better off here because you're going to make connections locally and people will make progress and share information. I don't think there's the arrogance that you see in the Bay Area. People are open to learning, and nobody needs to build a unicorn. I mean, the conversations I hear just walking around in my neighborhood are ridiculous, and I always just laugh. And I mean, I built a company and I ended up after taxes with $9 million. And once you start talking to founders who are building, unicorns, or you start hearing about these deals, you can build a unicorn and walk away with less money than I did. So I would say stay here and build something low profile. You're not going to get the TechCrunch headlines, and no one's going to be inviting you to speak at Salesforce, Dreamforce. Who cares? Like, financial security and control over your life and having fun building a team with a team that you love and not having investors breathing down your neck. I mean, I just think that sounds amazing. You are not at a disadvantage being here. I think you're at an advantage. That's my personal opinion. Definitely come out there, though. It's fun.
So with these nuggets that Sharon has already shared, I think the magic really comes from like the pen to paper of like, what are the real questions that everybody sitting in this audience would like to pick her brain about? We have somebody that has done it, right? And certainly has had the failures. I mean, most entrepreneurs are going to have at least 9 failures before they have a success. So, I mean, and
I'm still failing. I've already had a few failures since I sold my company.
Well, and you also have your company that you potentially could rebuy. Start again.
Yes. Yeah. Quick story, fun story. The company that I sold my company to a data company in the UK that's been in the data business since 1969. I thought it was a safe place for my team because I've heard all the stories about private equity. Well, 9 months after I sold it to them, they packaged it up with a bunch of other data products, sold it to private equity, and about 6 weeks ago, I woke up to a bunch of texts from people who worked for me saying they're shutting the company down. They've already laid off most of the people who work here. And so I went to them and tried to buy it back, and they wouldn't let me buy it back. And so they're just shutting it down. Like they don't care about the team or the customers who love our tool. They're shutting it down. And so now I'm considering, should I rebuild it? I'm 60 years old. This is not really what I plan to be doing, but I have to say I'm a little excited at the thought of getting to do this again, although I'm terrified. So
does anybody have any specific ideas that came out today that you want to raise some money for that you'd like Sharon to give you some advice on? Does anybody have any questions for Sharon? If not, I'm just going to keep chatting to her. Janet, are there any questions online either? Oh, do you want to just go to a mic, Patrick?
I think I heard you say that you had a child and then started working on this. I'm just curious how you allocate your time with demands of a day job, child, and then you're trying to build something.
A magical husband. And, I wish everybody had that kind of a partner. It is a challenge if you don't. My husband couldn't have been happier shuttling the kids around. He didn't want to work. He's never had a traditional job. He's worked, he's made money, but he's never had a traditional job. So he loved doing that. And I would have hated shuttling the kids around. It stresses me out. He got a bigger car so he could shuttle around kids that weren't even ours. That is a nightmare to me. And I would try to prevent him from doing this, but then I was sitting for a while. Our office was like, my desk was here and his was here. And he wanted one of those Volvos with the extra seat in the back. And I said, no, I don't want that, because then we'll have to put other kids in the car. And I don't understand those kids. I only know mine. And I hear him on the phone and he's like, I'm calling about the car. So he got his way. He rarely puts his foot down with me and like, no, I need this. But he was adamant because he's like, if I'm shuttling all the kids around, I want to add more kids to the mix. So that plus just working, I worked nights, weekends, but I didn't mind because I loved what I'm doing. And that's the other tip. You have to love your idea. You have to fall in love with it because you're going to have to work potentially really hard. I hope you don't have to work as hard as I did with all the new tools out, but you have to love it. I mean, I would jump out of bed on Saturday morning and say, I can't wait to go work in my database.
I think that's a good point.
I had a meeting with a potential
I
funder.
think you can pull the mic. Yeah.
I had a meeting with a potential funder recently and asked a lot of questions about what is important to him and had some connections between what we're offering and how we could even help him. And nothing really active came out of it. And so I directly asked, is this something you'd be interested in or opposed to pursuing? And he said, it's hard to know. And so at that point, I'm trying to decide, is that someone you follow up with and keep trying, or is that kind of a no? And West Michigan is also kind of, everyone's afraid to just say no. So that makes it extra complicated to read people.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I mean, I love TikTok business content. I consume it all the time. And I follow a bunch of VCs and, non-traditional VCs, a lot of women VCs. TikTok is filled with women in business because they can't get traction anywhere else except TikTok. And then they get together and they start, plotting to take over the world, which is awesome. But no shade to the men. But a lot of these women VCs talk about exactly what you're saying, and they'll say, if your VC says this to you, this is what it means. They're like translating. And they do say that there's like a little bit of a passive aggressive thing, like they're afraid to say no. Maybe they think, oh, well, there might be something here, so I'm going to string this along for as long as I can. My suggestion would be just keep watching that person, especially if they're on social. Watch them, watch what they're funding, and then engage with their content if they are active on social, and just keep that relationship going and watch them. And I'm a big fan of don't reach out to someone unless you have some new information or a new thing to contribute. And so you'll probably see them post something or say something that gives you a good reason to follow up. And it's fun to watch these people. You learn a lot. You learn, just don't doom scroll too much.
Is anybody else? Can you just go to the microphone?
How do you find developers to kind of put together your vision for a project?
Well, I wish I knew, because I'm thinking about that right now, and that's one of the things that's really stressing me out. Is I'm a non-technical founder. TikTok is actually a great place to find people. You have to really vet them though, because it could be you don't know who they are. You have to really vet their work. I usually move people over to LinkedIn if I start following them on TikTok and I think this might be someone I might want to work with at some point. I ask them, let's go connect over on LinkedIn, and then I can really see their background and what other kinds of more businessy things that they're posting or engaging with. I have found quite a few developers lately who I'm ready to vet that way. I would say be careful with the big dev shops. I was the first customer of a dev shop based in Charlotte, and they built my product and they were brilliant. And I just had the best experience. So thinking of rebuilding the product, since I can't get the company back, I'm like, well, I'm just going to go to them and I'm going to make TikToks all about how, hey, we're getting the band back together and blah, blah, blah. Well, they were bought by private equity. And I have reservations about doing that. I mean, imagine you're in the middle of a project and they decide they're just shutting it all down and there's no recourse. So the other thing I'm thinking about with it is with what you're doing here, you can kind of create some real guardrails for those developers. And I think that is huge risk mitigation. I love that you can, as a founder, create, whether it's a prototype product or just more in-depth information about how this needs to work. One of the things I did to put some guardrails of my developers, because you just never know. They could seem like they're the greatest and then they do a terrible job. I created my product in slides. And remember I talked about how I had frameworks and dashboards that I'd created for my clients that I delivered in slides. I just took those and put it in a deck, and it's like, okay, then you're going to click here and it's going to drill down to this framework. And then, you show them where you're double clicking and where the customer's going. So you can actually, if you're strong in that way, you can design the customer experience yourself. And that puts more guardrails around the developers. But definitely ask for references to talk to some of the other customers, or just to see some of the other projects that they've worked on. But my answer is always the same, no matter what you need. Go to your network. And to be able to go to your network, you have to have built a strong network. I did not know a single woman entrepreneur the whole time that I was running my company, and that's my fault because I didn't proactively go and find them. But now I have a huge network of women entrepreneurs, and including engineers, because they found me after I sold my company. And now I'm just having the best time. Like, I feel like at age 60, I finally found my people. I mean, like, a lot of them I've never met in person, but I'm just texting them all the time. Like, hey girl, what's going on with your project? And they text me, and it's actually super fun. So have fun with building your network, and you will find people to vet for your projects.
And beware of agile. Beware of agile methodology, especially for your first product. Yeah, it's the fastest way to never get to a final product and have the biggest bill you've ever seen in your life. And I come from a tech background, so I say that like with the most loving.
What were your biggest challenges in your early stages versus today?
The early stages were just having to wear so many hats and do a lot of things that I wasn't good at and I didn't enjoy. Remember I said earlier, you have to enjoy it. When you really enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't seem like work. It's not easy, but it's fun to figure things out. When I had to do things like accounting or GDPR is a privacy regulation that came online in Europe in like 2018. And I had to lead that whole initiative for my company. And it was a nightmare talking to these lawyers. I'd be like,
and then CCPA out of California was just as bad.
Yeah, CCPA. So I had to do that whole thing. In fact, I brought on a VP of operations who had done that for a previous company. And the first day he walked in the door, I'm like, here you go, have fun with that. And he did it brilliantly because he had done it before. So my rule is, you as a bootstrapper, particularly seed strapper, because you can't spend a lot of money, don't hire someone to do that thing that you hate to do until you're feeling so much pain that you cannot even tolerate it anymore. You never want your team to be in pain, and you never want your customers to be in pain. So you have to take the pain, and when you can't take it anymore, you solve it by hiring that person. Same with like product management. I was my own product manager for years, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I took someone on my team who had an aptitude for this, and I said, hey, this is going to scare you, but would you like to be the product manager? And he was very scared but excited. And then I gave him resources. I'm like, go take these PM courses. You can have a budget for professional development. It was safer for me to get someone who already knew our business and our product. I knew he knew our product because he was always talking to me about it, and put him in that role. I did the same with, once I was hiring so fast for us, and I was doing all of it. I was doing all the resume review, all the interviewing, the training, everything. And so I took a woman on my team who was taking HR classes on her own time. And I said, hey, you want to be our in-house recruiter? So, that's when you finally have revenue and a sustainable, profitable company, you still have to watch your money, but you have the money to do things like that. But you don't have the money to go and say, well, I'm going to hire this recruiter who works over at Salesforce and it's going to be great. Don't hire big tech people to come and work in your tiny company. It never ends well because they're used to expense accounts and resources and they're not scrappy. You need Swiss Army knives in the beginning who can do all kinds of things and then gradually allow them to specialize as they prove themselves. And that also creates tremendous employee satisfaction and loyalty. I hope I answered the question. I think later challenging, it's more the culture. As my partner would say in his South Carolina accent, Sharon, we're in the people business now. And I'm like, what is he talking about? And then I would go to South Carolina because that's where we built our company. And I would see what he was talking about. The problems become more like personalities, clashes, or people being dissatisfied about this or that.
You know, one thing we haven't really talked about is how do you know how much money to raise? I'm surprised nobody asked that question, but that is actually a question you should ask.
And the conventional wisdom, which I'm never a fan of, any conventional wisdom coming out of Silicon Valley, because it doesn't apply to people like us, even though that's what you hear in the press. It used to be raise more than you think you're going to need. Now the conventional wisdom increasingly is raise just what you need. And that seed strapping is a new term that's being used a lot in the Bay Area. So that means doing exactly what I did. Raise a little money, get to sustainable profitability, operate like a bootstrapper, operate lean, and then never raise again. So, but you notice in my story, I raised, first I was kind of funding with my own consulting revenue, and I didn't even keep track of it. Don't do that. And when my partner came on, he's like, buy the book. And he's like, well, how much did you put in? I'm like, I don't know. And so we had this 42,000 on our books for years. I'm like, I probably put in more than that. But then I raised the 125 and made that last a very long time. And then we raised another 75. You can always go back. If you get a good angel relationship, like I had with Michael, you can go back and ask for more money, especially if you're showing traction. Like, you don't want to go back and ask for more if nothing's happened. That's not going to be a fun conversation. But if you have traction, and I could go back to Michael and say, oh, we just signed with Salesforce, but we need to build out this data set. Great, here you go. Just don't over raise and make that money last as long as possible and keep your day job. Like, if you can do some combination of all of those things, you have a much better outlook. And you don't have to take money from people you don't want to be in business with.
Yeah, and I would say, just to fill in the gaps for anyone, if you overraise, it also means you gave a larger percentage of your company away that you could have actually had that revenue. So just to fill in that gap for everyone.
Yes.
Everyone can just come to the mics.
Oh, okay. I love what you guys just said and what you've sort of been saying as a theme, which is a little bit more protective about who you take money from, what you raise. What are some things you can ask during the fundraising process to vet that out? Like, what are your go-to questions or ways to suss out that vibe?
It's hard for me to say because I don't talk to these people at all. Like, I try to stay away from them. And that's why I like to follow people on TikTok who tell you what to do. I don't know if this is kosher, like if you can do this, but I would ask to talk to founders that they've funded. I would want to know what it's like to work with these people. And I would think if they are proud of their work, that they would be happy to have you talk to their founders and see what those founders are like. Are you vibing with them, or are they horrible? Is this someone you'd want to have dinner with? I mean, I think what a lot of people don't realize is how long you could be connected with these people. In my case, it was 14 years. And sure, in the early years, like, I wouldn't even talk to him if I saw him on the street. I'd run the other way because nothing was happening. But, you're going to have to sit in boardrooms. If they're VCs, they're probably going to be on your board. And make sure that this is someone that you feel comfortable having a long relationship with. And in addition to compiling a list of questions to ask, I would trust your gut in terms of how you feel when you're in the room with that person. Are you scared? Are you annoyed? Or are you inspired and excited? Those are the kind of people you want to be with. And I know it's the idea of raising money is like, I'll just take it from whoever will give it. Try not to do that out of desperation because you'll regret it. I just talked to a founder the other day who is miserable because there's an investor who only owns 13%, but is just constantly saying, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? And that would keep me awake at night. That would be awful. So you don't want that. Do you have any better ideas of the questions?
Well, I mean, I think it's also understanding. I wish that this wasn't the case, but especially when we talk about VCs, women are just significantly underrepresented in getting money. And so, it's a little bit like be wary of the questions that they're also asking you, because that will also tell you a lot about them. And it's a little bit like when you get a job, right? I think it's a little bit like that perspective, which is like you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. And I think really listening to sort of your spidey sense and controlling like the excitement of the fact that they might be interested in funding you, and really walk back into exactly, what Sharon just was going through, which is like, am I, think about it like a relationship, because you're basically marrying that person. Like whoever you take money from, even if it's angel money, even if it's from friends and family, like you are tied to them in a very, very different way. I would also, sorry, this is unrelated to VCs, but I think it's also like be leery of also taking money from people who can't afford to lose it. Because they're going to have a very different sort of emotional connection to you because of the fact that they maybe shouldn't have given you that money to begin with. You really want to take money from people who can afford to not have to have that money back.
Yeah, I have 3 criteria for angels. The first is they're so rich that they're not going to miss it if you lose it. Like you don't want to lose it, but yeah, Michael forgot he owned 10% of my company. By the time I exited, he's like, how much do I have? And because he's richer than God, he's now a public company CEO. So that's the first criteria. The second criteria is they are seasoned entrepreneurs themselves. It doesn't necessarily have to be in your industry, but they know what you're going through. All 3 of our angels were entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs. They weren't lighting up our phone with like, what's going on every week. 3, they will give you advice when you ask for it. And the reason I say that is because you never know when these people are going to be in 10 years. Michael was IPOing when I was selling my company, and I needed him because I'd never done an M&A deal before. And so fortunately for me, he is so in love with deal making. He was calling me every day during his own IPO, and it was great because he gave me, let's talk about male allies. All of my partners, investors were men, and they were allies to me. I could ask any question and they wouldn't be like, you should know that. And Michael gave me that BDE, I'll just say, I needed to go back and ask for 50% more money when I had an offer. I was very unhappy with the offer. The last thing you want to do is sell your company and have to go get a job because you didn't make enough money. So he said, well, what do you want? And I said, I want 30 million. Well, go get it. He didn't say, well, that's crazy, Sharon. You shouldn't do that. No. So I did, and I got 25 instead of 20. That's a huge difference for me and my partner and also our employees. So, especially to the women in the room or to the men who are unrepresented founders. I see some age peers in here. Hello, I'm thrilled you're here. Find your allies who are people who are more hooked in because they are out there. And the ones who aren't allies, just ignore them.
So I'm about to be 55, and I'm a non-traditional student here at GRCC. And I have an idea for like a community/retail model where it's very niche. And a lot of like retail experiences I have had have been with companies that do not care about their people. You're a customer, your money to me, you're disposable. How did you keep yourself because you're saying, I care about my employees. I don't want them to get, the company to get shut down and then they're out in the wind. How do you keep yourself from corporate greed and such? And I don't mean you specifically. I mean like your employees, getting people that aren't going to turn into like monsters.
Well, from the get-go, my partner and I defined the values we wanted our company to have. It seems crazy to define your culture like 5 years before you even hire your first person, but that's what we did. First of all, it made sure that we were on the same page. We also defined our goals. We agreed we would like to exit the company someday. But we agreed that if that didn't happen, we would be very happy if we could have a company that just had so much revenue that everybody got paid well and everybody was happy. So you define those values, but then you have to live them because your employees are watching you. And culture, I read this somewhere, I don't remember who said it, but culture is what people do when no one else is watching. And we did a really good job with that because we're not assholes. We have values, we're family people. And so we did a really good job. And what happens is people who work for you know what the right decision is to make when you're not in the room. They just know because it's just there. Like one time I went to Hawaii and I got like, I was at this big resort and I had eggs and I ordered eggs and bacon and they brought eggs and sausage. And I said, oh, I had the bacon. And then she comes with a plate and she's like, oh, could you put the sausage here? And then she's going to make me give the sausage back. And I was like, there is a problem in this place and it's at the top. I mean, it happens. And it's always coming from the top because the woman probably thinks it's ridiculous, but she's terrified. If they find out they gave her sausage and bacon, the world's going to end, right? So you have to live it and you have to call it out when someone is doing something that does not align, or you have to fire them. And we had to do that because the other people are watching. And if you let someone else be a jerk and get away with it, first of all, they're going to think you're full of it. And then second of all, it gives everyone permission to do that and your culture deteriorates.
You know they're going to throw the sausage out anyway, so it's ridiculous. Okay, Sharon, thank you so much for everything you've shared today. My name's Liz. I own a local creative marketing studio and thinking of a new potentially SaaS product to be able to offer that supports the work that I'm already doing. But looking at the legacy that you've built starting out in the 90s and building these companies, technology was and still is always evolving. But today, I could be, by the end of the day, my idea could be out there and born already, which is great. But I think for me, there's a potential mix of limited mindset and also just opportunity. How do you vet if your idea, if it already exists, let me see how I word this. How far along should you get in vetting an idea if a competitor is out there doing something similar and then going to ask for funding or raising your network? All those things take time. It sounds like years for you. I don't know if I have a clear question necessarily, but thinking through the evolution of technology, the speed that things adapt, looking at other people creating content. We just used ChatGPT and all these tools that are taking ideas and noting it. So I'm not the first one to think, oh, this is a great idea.
Right.
So what's your advice for kind of the checks and balances of when you know this is a great idea, it has legs, now I should be pursuing it?
Well, most of the people who have your idea are not going to get off the couch, first of all. And then some of them are going to be so comfortable in their lives that once they start building it and they realize how hard it is, they're just going to stop doing it. That's going to be the vast majority of people. I mean, you see that over and over again. So if you can outlast, that is the first hurdle, right? If you outlast. The second thing is be like this with your customers and users and develop those relationships with early customers and users, because that is hard to do. And most of those people aren't going to do that either. They're going to fall in love with their idea. They're going to build something and no one's going to use it. So if you look at those three scenarios, not getting off the couch, getting tired and just stopping, or not engaging with customers, that's got to be like 97% of people. I mean, I can guarantee you, I've seen it over and over again. Existing competitors who might be bigger than you. I'll just tell a little story. back in like 2012, Lee and I were terrified of this company called RealSci because it kind of did what we did. It didn't do all of it, but it did a lot of it. It was super sexy. They had all this engineering talent, and they raised 120 million in venture capital. And they had all the headlines, and every place I went, people were like, well, what's going on with, I'm like, don't ask me. And we were terrified. And after like 18 months, we realized no customers were asking us about RealSci anymore. I mean, I knew it was garbage because I looked at it, but nobody was asking. And then we went years without hearing anything. The company that bought my company bought RealSci for $7 million after they raised 120. So they didn't execute. With all that money, they didn't execute. They got the headlines. They were on conference stages. They got buzz, but they couldn't execute. They didn't care. They were having fun. You know, they were spending their money and getting the foosball tables or whatever. I don't know. I don't know these people. But they didn't do something correct with all that money. And we got 5 times revenue for our sale to the same company. They got less than 1. I think they were about 7 million. So you can win. And the way you win is you really care about your customers and you build an amazing team that really cares about the customers. My team cared about our customers so much that sometimes I say, like, calm down. Like, it's going to be fine. Because we would make a change to our product and they'd say, that's not good for the customers. And I'd like, it's going to be fine. And if it's not, we will go back to the way that you said. So if you can build that, you have a competitive advantage and you can win. Like, don't let the fact that there's a competitor out there stop you, because that actually proves that there's a market for what you're doing.
Yeah, and I would say that there's a few things too. Sometimes you can be too early with an idea.
That's exactly what happened to us.
Yeah, you can be a great idea and the market's just not ready for it yet. So it doesn't mean it was a bad idea, it just might mean you're too early. I would say also, just because somebody else is doing it doesn't mean that you can't do it better. I mean, iPod was not the first MP3 player. They just did it better. So I think that anyone's idea has the opportunity to be a great idea. I think it's surrounded by, like, do you know that your product market fit? Do you know who the people are that you should be talking to? And then, do you have enough support that's not just financial, it's to actually do it. And I would say that that's a little bit more, Liz, when you think about it.
And keep it simple.
MVPs are your friend. Well, I want to thank everyone for being here. Sharon, thank you so much for all of your wisdom. There's a couple things to wrap up today. One is, if everybody had a really good time today, I do a conference in March. And as my special gift for you all putting so much hard work in today, through Friday, so Early Bird just launched on the conference site, and I have given you a special, please don't share this, but I've given you a special discount that also gives you 50% off of the Early Bird. So I would say, if you're interested in coming, this is like the best price you're ever going to see. And I would love to have you. It's 2 days of sort of sessions like we did today, which is like implementable AI that helps support your business. So we have amazing speakers that come from all over the country, and you'll do exercises similar today, but in all different realms of your business. And then in addition to that, I'd like to, I did not load your slides. Okay. Oh, great. Yeah.
I feel like a sponge. This has been amazing. Yeah, it's awesome. So we are hosting an event. It's a first of its kind event, a multi-sector event on Thursday at 3:00 in Studio Park. So we're bringing together Midwest House, Startup Grind, GR Opener, and Grand Rapids Giving Day, which I'm the founder of Grand Rapids Giving Day, which is a platform that supports nonprofit founders. So we found a lot of synergy and parallels between traditional founders and nonprofit founders and the levels of support that they need. So we launched Grand Rapids Giving Day, and as part of the day, we have a social innovation pitch, which supports both for-profit and nonprofit ideas at any stage, and Fifth Third Bank is sponsoring that with a prize. So you are all invited to both events, the one happening this week and on December 2nd, and to be a part of the application for the pitch as well. Thank you. Oh, my name is Erica Plunkett too. And I have flyers if you're interested. Thank you so much.
So one of the things is our core values, we like to support other, we're very philanthropic. I know that Karen left already, but she was here from Michigan Council of Women in Technology, and with the work that Erica's doing with GR Giving Day, what's amazing about that is all these nonprofits can basically become part of this fund where you have the opportunity to support and learn about all kinds of different nonprofits. So even if you can't make it this week, Erica, puts on the actual Giving Day is December, what was that? December 2nd. And what an incredible opportunity that we have here. And I know I'm a little bit competitive, and Erica based this off of Austin. I'm just going to pepper this out here in case you want to talk about it. But Austin raises what? 2 million? 11 million. 11 million. What did we do last year? Okay. We need to 10x. That's what I just heard. We're 10xing that. And I think the best way for us to do that is to help Erica spread that message and get that out there, and allow us to sort of take that. We're the second most philanthropic city, if you include church giving per capita in the country here. So that number, we should definitely be able to be competitive with Austin. So again, I just want to thank everyone for being here today. I can't wait to see you again. Sharon, thank you so much for sharing your talents. She's going to have her books and be able to sign them, which how often do you actually get the author in person to sign the book? And if you need anything else, you can reach out to me. But thank you very much and enjoy the rest of Tech Week. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. One other thing is you're all going to get a survey. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd love your feedback. So look for that later today.
That was what I wanted. I was like, can you pick that
Yeah.
up? I didn't get a chance to. I did. I saw you that you were invited to. But I'm not going to share that because I just said it's just for us. Yeah, people were surprised. They're like, "You're a student." I'm like, "Yeah," because like I said, I want to do retail stores that interfaces the community because I want to do an adult items for BDSM thing, which is why I wasn't like, "Let's share this with everybody." But I'm really passionate about it, and as a gay man in that community, I want it to, educate. I want it in these work ideas. I do not.
You email me reminding me. Bad migraine today, so
Yeah, my best friend has them so the light and the sound, and it's very loud in here, so that all you can focus on is the pain. And I have a high pressure, but everything.
I know.
Fortunately, I don't have migraine. So I